Yeah, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Coffee with Derek and Craig. If I can get the words out this morning, I need more coffee, Craig. But yeah, I've had a kind of a weird week, Craig, and I'm sorry about missing the show, guys. Had some stuff going on with Pauline and my wife there, and had to go to the hospital and all that stuff. But we're back home, and just every time you think you got it figured out, Craig, they always add one more thing to the mix to uh, that you got to watch now. This past time was her sodium level and everything, and never had a problem with that before. But I guess this is one more problem we're gonna have to deal with here. And but we got it fixed. Thank goodness. Glad it took her in. But yeah, we got home late Wednesday night or later Wednesday night. So we're kind of going with it now. She's doing okay, but that's why we missed the show on Wednesday. So it doesn't happen often, but it was just one of those crazy mornings. Hey, Craig, I did get a couple of emails or messages, one of the two, either from YouTube or Facebook. I can't remember what it was about the couple of the videos I put up, but they thought that the machine was essentially too chatty. Like when like they assumed that I was setting the machine down, I guess, and it was beeping, falsing. That really wasn't. That was my fault, and that's my fault in the video because I never set my detector down. Very rarely, unless I have to get down on the ground to dig, with a smaller shovel. I kind of loop my arm through the arm cuff, and that motion, teetering or whatever like that will, the detector will make noise because VLS are motion detectors. It's showing a little bit of motion, and I have other targets, iron or what have you, in the ground right there. So that's where the falsing's coming. It's more my fault than anything else. And of course, when I get my pinpointer too close to the coil, it's going to sound off a little bit. It's not anything bad or anything. It probably sounds worse over the video than it does, what I'm dealing with. But as far as me hearing it, so I wanted to put that out there. That's pretty much on me. It's just the way I hunt. And using a long-handled shovel that way, it's just something I prefer to do. So there was like 3 or 4 people, different times or whatever, saying that. Well, that was another thing, Craig, that the machine talks too much. I'm assuming the guy's talking about the the nuance in the machine. I as a relic hunter, I like this machine. Craig, it's maybe not. I guess I need to take it to like a regular park or something like that. I'm sure the thing's going to hit non-ferrous items pretty good. I think you could notch out a lot of this stuff. I haven't even begun to start notching, but see, as a relic hunter, I'm not too concerned with notching out non-ferrous targets like aluminum and stuff. I'm trying to open the machine up in order to find more stuff. But this machine does talk to you a lot, but it has a lot of nuance in it. And I'm putting up a video this morning. I already have it onto YouTube. I just got to mark it public. I'm finding stuff. I found that. Well, I got that footage of finding that button, Craig, that railway button. And all it's giving you is this tweak. Most of it's iron around there, and I dig this chunk of iron. I think it was a big washer, probably about bigger than a silver dollar. And I got that out of the way. And then I was, just really I was getting a high tweak when it was out of the hole, like I dig the plug out. I said, damn, I was like, let me get my pinpointer. So I put my pinpointer down there, and there's this piece of iron, and I get it out of the way, and all of a sudden that button came right through. So it was getting masked up by that iron. But this machine was able to tell me, or whatever, you'll hear it in the video, where it was hitting that non-ferrous item, and it was telling me, hey, there's something non-ferrous in this hole, and that seems like the way this machine works, a lot like the Equinox. Equinox probably does it better because you have the different levels of iron, bias. I'm not sure, but anyways, for whatever reason, it's able to pick out non-ferrous, small ferrous targets. So,
well, I think what's happening is with this, obviously with the the cell phone technology now into these phone, and the chips are so much faster that you're getting a lot more information, in that short period of time when you're going over the signal.
Right, very fast.
it's like I get mixed signals all the time with the Equinox, and especially in massed iron. So it's I think it's great. It used to be analog machines only gave you the nuances, but now it's the digital machines. There's probably not going to be many analog machines anymore, because the digital is doing so much better.
Well, exactly. Like Gavin was asking me, what is the notch? The notch blocks on the like the simplex, and how many VDI numbers are notched out for each block. Essentially, if you block out 20, the VDI of 20, you're going to lose from 15. I want to say it's 5 notches, but I can't remember if it's like 15 to 25 will be notched out. I think it said 5, so I'm assuming a 2 or so above or before the number you notch out. The only reason I don't like notching out numbers is, man, I tell you what, I've gotten a lot of stuff, copper and brass, that was been around 20 on like a VDI number.
Mid-range target.
Yeah, it's going to take out some of your brass and copper, and that's where your buttons and you get rid of undesirable items like shotgun shells. This machine, it really lets you know, because of the VDI numbers jumping so hard from up and back. So some of them come out at 20, Craig. Some come out at 65. Mostly, it's really, and these are old shotgun shells. These aren't like the current ones. These are, some of these ones I'm digging are almost flat, like coins. So I can't really complain about the detector in that aspect, because it could find a penny or Indian head. It could be anything underneath there because of the surface area.
Or it could be a button.
Yeah, it could. Yeah.
It's just like Civil War hunting. I've said before, if I've been into an area and it's Civil War stuff in there, and you're digging shotgun shell after shotgun shell, that's actually a good thing. Mm-hmm. Nobody's been in there hunting, because no relic hunter would leave those shotgun shells in the ground without digging them up to see if they're buttons.
Right. Is this a coin hunting machine? I think it is a coin hunting machine. If you're at a park or something, really, unless it's an old park, most of your targets are going to be within 5 inches of the surface of the ground, unless it's an old park. Then it may get deeper, but the majority of your finds in a park or something like that are going to be probably 4 inches down in, depending how old the park is. Could there be older stuff there? Yeah. Will this machine pick it up? Yeah. But I can't guarantee you that you're going to know, okay, it's a solid 65, that's a penny, and dig it up and it's going to be a penny. With any machine, you don't know until you pull it out of the ground what it's going to be. Now, the site I'm on, the reason I like it so much with this machine is it really does work well at, I'm pulling out nail after nail and chunk of metal after chunk, and then getting a non-ferrous target. And what I heard, when I get that one little non-ferrous target out of there, boom, all the non-ferrous is gone, or whatever, all the good signals are gone. It's just simply iron. And to be able to do that in a plug where you have a piece of iron over a button, and you can still hear there's a high-pitched click in there. It's very informative, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's something every machine you're going to have to get used to. But having a machine that has that ability, that you know what to listen for, not that you have to do it all the time, but I'm really finding this thing is like a sniper, man. It's right in there, and for $300 or whatever, give me a break.
What's amazing is you've already figured out the nuances already, and you didn't hardly use the thing an hour, and you were already figuring out the nuances in that thing.
Yeah, it's just amazing to me. It's neat.
I was watching the video, and that thing gives a really sharp signal. It's like,
yeah,
it's got a totally different sound. But I could hear the nuances in it.
I'm shifting over too.
We were talking about this a little bit before the show, but these chips nowadays are just so fast that it's able to add more to the audio, just like a high-end receiver does, on a stereo, or.
And I also, when I move around the hole, Craig, like I'll show, you'll see it because all I had to do is mark it public. I wanted to watch the video myself to make sure I got the editing right on it and everything. I mean, it's like 20 minutes long, something like that. But I wanted you to see how the machine, when I come up to a target, what I'm listening for. Like I get a signal in the ground, and I'll turn halfway on the target, and it's like it's totally gone, or it's giving me an iron signal. But I turn back the other way, and it's like totally repeatable, whether it's really loud or very soft. A totally repeatable non-ferrous signal in the ground, even though it has iron around it. And we're talking within inches. I mean, or whatever. That there could be a piece of iron or nail or whatever. It also picks up. It's like it's picking up individual metal items better than some of the other detectors I've had. Where you're having these mixed metal, these cast metals. It has a versatility to it. I don't know if it was intended or not, but it just seems like it's let me know. I mean, it stands out so much. Hey, there's a signal here. Listen to me. Scan it again. Go over it again. And it fools me once in a while, but I mean, for the most part, I dig all good stuff. I mean, I dig, junk too, but I mean, it's bigger iron that I expect to kind of get into. We all get into it once in a while, but like my good signal ratio to bad signal is like 50%. That's not bad. Every other target I dig is good. Where, I can't say that about my other detectors. Now, this is a new site. This is a different kind of site. I'm dealing with, everything from 18. I think I'm way back in the 1800s on a couple of these little items, up until about the 1930, 1940. After that, I don't find very much current stuff at all. I mean, not even pull tabs, nothing. So this is like a surgery machine for me. It's given me a chance to find amongst cast iron and stuff. And these are mixed metals, but it's let me know. I mean, I'd like another pocket watch, Craig. This is a third pocket watch off of this property. This one was in, and I have to find the footage because I got like so much footage. It's not even funny. But I want to say I dug it. And I dug a chunk of, I don't know what kind of metal it was, but it was all gunked up. It may be something, I don't know. Pulled it out of the ground, and it's like, man, there's like 14 inches down, I get another pocket watch, just kind of toasted still, because they all are, it seems like. And then I turn around and I find this, it's about the size of a pocket watch, brass, and it looks like a turning thing, like a crank on it. And I was looking, I mean, what the heck could this be? Is this like an old doorbell or a... you just don't know what the stuff is. Well, I got home, and I had found 2 hunts back, I found this pocket watch size, but it was like, I thought it was going to be for like a clock, a house clock, because it was like 2 or 3 inches thick, from the first cylinder back to the other one. It had all these gears in it, and I told Pauline, I said, I don't know what this is. Had to have been some kind of a clock or something like that. It's bigger than wider than or not wider, but thicker than a pocket watch, but it's the same size. And well, that crank, I think I found probably in between 1900 1920. I'm going to call it a bait casting reel. It's all brass. It's all that piece fits. It looks like it fits right on the end of that. It would be a fishing reel. I mean, it's a freaking weird thing to find, and it was spread out like 20 feet, like it, that one part broke off and got flung, or, I'm keeping everything because I have so many things that the other part of it is 10 feet away. I'm looking to find, there was one cast iron, it's like a rocking horse. That's what I'm almost positive it is, but I'm looking for the head and the tail. It would really identify the target for me, but I think this thing is pretty old. A couple things like the railway button. You'll see the railway button I find. I really thought it was 1860s because I did find a railway button that size a couple years ago, and I was told, oh, it's not Civil War. It's not. Well, I ended up finding a photo of it, and it's exactly Civil War. It's exactly the same button. And I was looking at this one, and I couldn't really see it real good. It turns out I think it's right around 1880s to 1905. So it's still pretty old. I mean, it's over 100 years old. But what I found
it has that turret shank, so it's not, it's not mid 1800s. It's more toward 1900, but
right, still nice line. Hell yeah.
I've never seen anything like it. It's very unusual.
Hmm. The other thing, it was the harmonica, the German made harmonica. I'm trying to remember the name of it now, but it had all this. You'll see it on the video too. And I found it that same day because I'm kind of just putting this footage together, Craig. Whatever is up there, unless it's like I bump the on-off button or something like that. I leave everything in from beginning to end of the dig. Sometimes I don't show filling in the hole or whatever. I just kind of eliminate that. That's really nothing to anybody. I want you to see what the machines do, and so I'll get from the beginning of it. Where I get the target, take a couple scoops out. If I still have it, I'll scan it over again, just like I would normally hunt. You're trying to gain information, and some of these things you'll see me fill in the hole and say I'll come back to it later, which I will. Once I disturbed all that ground, now I'm getting all these iron signals. There's still a non-ferrous tweak in there, but I could spend an hour on one hole. I mean, it's just easier to come back once the ground settles out to come back through. I'd really like to scrape 8 inches of ground right off the surface of that pasture. Because it seems like everything I'm digging is 7 to 12 inches down easily. I mean, there's a couple of things I dug 14 inches down with this machine. Now, they're bigger surface area. But for what the cost of the machine is like, I'm actually enjoying this machine. I mean, I've had a lot of machines, like you have, Craig. I mean, with over the years. But this one is something about it that is it's kind of nice. And it's keeping my attention, because of this nuance thing. It was strange to me to hear him saying it's hawks too much. I mean, you can never get too much information, and what better information to get from your metal detector than audio? You're going to notice it faster. It's going to stand out more than a VDI number. I talk about VDI numbers in the videos all the time. That's pretty much for y'all's benefit, but I do watch them, but I'm not stuck to them. It's just another information source for me. If I see it jump in a certain way or only a few numbers either way, it gets my interest going even more, especially when it starts hitting high tweet, like high 90s, 80s, and 90s. I'm starting to think silver. And I did have a couple of them. I don't know if it was in this next video or not, where, I'm getting 87, 87, 93. And then I'll say it as it's happening. So it is jumping a little bit, but it turns out to be like a bigger brass item or a bigger cast item. And that's normal for metal detectors. I mean, these are items with big surface areas that are not totally, well, other than the brass, like the cast, I'm figuring out there's different kinds of casts that have different kinds of material in it. Some of them I think have zinc in them, Craig, I swear, because they jump so high. And I don't know if that's the way that the smelter or whoever built it, made it, the cast iron product, what kind of materials they were using to melt down to make the mold. If it's a common place to add zinc or add other metals in there, and that's why I'm getting weird VDIs and weird signals from cast iron. It's pretty noticeable, anyways. I mean, if it starts jumping too much, you pretty much know it is. Then other times it'll be a 4, solid 4. It's a little bit. I still haven't learned it all the way, but I mean, I damn sure know when I go over something that I want to dig. In this place I'm hunting at, I mean, there's signals everywhere. You got to pick out. I'm kind of not cherry picking. I'm just kind of unlayering the site, and because you don't want to sit there and have everything blocked up. I'm opening up more signals by getting that bigger metal and stuff out of the way. These other targets, I'm hitting, like that button. There's about a 10-foot, I'd say about 25-foot area around that water trough for the cattle there. My God, it's so, there's so many targets there, and I'm finding everything from 1800s up to 20s or 30s right in that area in the same hole. I mean, that may have been where a building was, where they hung out at, where the house was. We still haven't figured that out all the way, but it was definitely where people hung out, because I'm finding just different stuff, whether it be horse stuff or buttons or, cast iron stuff. It's all in that, one little area is really thick with it. But I'll get a non-ferrous hit and dig down. I'll take a scoop out. And I can't help myself in this video. I said, look, I got to take another scoop out. I got to take another scoop because I just don't know what fell down off of that plug into the bottom of that hole and fell on its side. And I think that's what happened with the button. I was still getting it. It wasn't as good. But I said, man, it's still in there. I have to take another scoop. I have to take another scoop. And I do it, and boom, there's the button. And then I go scan over the hole. I don't get anything. I take another scoop out to make sure. There's still nothing. Okay, the hole's clean now. But I think I got like 5 or 6 nails and just whatever else out of that hole with that button. And the button is about the size of a dime. It's not anything great, great big or anything like that. But yeah, it's definitely an interesting detector. But I got a few of those emails or messages, and I'm like, what do you want? We had this issue with a couple of detectors before, Craig, and they said, for years people said, man, I wish I could get deeper. I wish I could, wish my machine would get deeper. And then as soon as a machine comes out that you're digging a penny at 12 or 14 inches, man, I'm digging too deep. It's too deep. I'm like, you can't have your cake and eat it too. I'd rather have a machine that lets me know something's there, but I can hear it in the sound that if I want to dig it or not, as far as depth goes.
Yeah. Well, it's always been, most people want a meter, and a meter kind of handicaps you, but, when you're in, it's different types of hunters. If you're a relic hunter, you really don't need a meter because you're going to be digging just about every target. But if you're a coin hunter, and you get into a trashy park with all these pull tabs, of course you don't want to dig pull tab signals unless you're trying to go for gold. But it's that's just the way it is. I mean, I can see where you have to kind of hunt by your sight. If you got a trashy site, you got to kind of work it differently. But the way I do it, it's like my yard had, modern stuff on top, and then, as you go down through the ground, it's, you get down to all these square nails and the relics and stuff, and you got to clear all that stuff out. I mean, we probably dug close to 200, mason jar lids.
Right, you have to get it out of the way. Those zinc lids will eat you up.
I was watching a guy the other day, and he was checking the target, and he was digging up these little tiny pieces of brass, and then he dug one of those white glass cylinders that's inside the basin jar lid. He goes, "Oh, that's what those things are. Pieces of." He said somebody probably got most of the top out of the ground, and the glass is still in the ground with a couple of little pieces.
Yep, that's exactly what happens. Gavin was asked on here that he said that leave it open when you can because of the block. That's a big block notch. Notching out. It takes up too many VDI numbers either way. That's the way I feel about it too. Now, if you're in a park or somebody's front yard, I can see doing that a little bit, or at least having the common sense to know if it's jumping too much between those numbers. But it's basing. You're going to have a baseline where it seems like it always comes back to 30 or 31 or whatever, but it bounces either way. You'll get used to that. A lot of machines are like that. If it's hanging out like only moving 1 or 2 notches, like if it's you're getting a 31 but it's bouncing to 29 and 33. That's a very short distance to jump around. It's probably going to be an item, in that range. Like if it's a button or whatever, it's locked on a little bit more. And Brandon from New York was asking if I'd try to cherry pick the site or in coin and jewelry mode. Yeah, it's actually called Park. They have Field, Park, all metal, of course, and then Beach. What I've been doing is leaving the coin and jewelry on and going. If I get a signal, if I hear a high amplified beep or squeal or zippy sound, or this thing has a lot of different sounds to it, I will stop and I'll scan over it to see what the VDI number is. If it's not really locking on, which I've had a lot of them like that where it's not showing a VDI at all, I flip it to Field. It's a deeper mode, but it always gives me some kind of a reference for VDI, and it picks it up a little bit better. It gets deeper. So I kind of bounce between it. It's real easy to do on the Simplex. You're just hitting a button, and it switches over to the next mode. Now I always try to give it like a second to let it to fully change over into the other mode. And I have that mode. It's set up a lot more powerful. I have the sensitivity up higher
Yeah,
and everything else.
It's probably the recovery speed is different on those two modes. Parking, because you want faster recovery speed in trashy areas so you can pick out the targets better. But if you're in want to get more depth in a relic zone, you're going to open it up and get more depth on your machine.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Well, Brandon's saying he'd like to see what it can do in the cherry picking mode in a park. I can do that. I may take. I probably not this weekend, but I'll have to. Next week or whatever, I'll do that. I'll just take it over to. I got a little park I hunted years ago with the whites, and I found a bunch of stuff in there, and kind of put more discrimination and you see what I can find with it. I think it'll do well, but and finally, I guess Brian Seward got his 6-inch coil for the Knox, and he says it's a little ripper. You were saying that, Craig, man, it's a quick coil, but that's like a scalpel too.
I call it the Mighty Might.
The Mighty Might.
I saw one or two guys that were talking about getting rid of it because it didn't have any depth, but I've been running like 3 on the recovery speed.
Right.
So you get more depth. Do 3 or 4, whatever you can. The machine will handle. I got a weird one yesterday. I've been going up against the fence, and early in the morning yesterday, I got all these bushes along a couple different parts of the fence and stuff. So I cleared it out. I've been, it's like an ongoing thing with me with yard work, but I got this area cleared right by this what I call the relic tree, and I found all kinds of stuff in the ground around there. But there's a real busy area with nails and cinders and hot rocks and all kinds of stuff. So
right.
I took the little 6-inch coil, and I'd been I'd been all over that whole area with the big coil and the Bliss and the Deus and everything, and I got a high tone, but I could tell it was probably iron because it just didn't sound right, but it kept giving me like 22, 25 on the meter, and so I ended up digging down about 9 inches, and when I looked down the hole, I could see this huge piece of iron that had a rim around it, and I was thinking, oh my God, it's a shell, but it turned out to be a ignition coil, and I didn't know what it was. I dug up this little piece, and then I dug up the big, huge piece, and I can't remember the guy's name on Instagram. I put it up, and I was asking people, what is this thing? And so the guy said it was an ignition coil, and it was very old because it's got a lot of iron in it compared to the newer ones.
How big was it? Heavy. That thing looked like it was to me it looked like an orbital sander with an old orbital sander, palm sander.
Yeah, if you turn it,
that's what it looked like on the bottom side of it.
Yeah, but I mean in the dirt, that thing looked like a shell or something.
Oh yeah, definitely. I just thought it was one of those, those vibrating. It's for like auto body or wood or whatever. I don't know how old it is. I didn't really watch the video. I watched it. I didn't listen to it. I was kind of going through, trying to get that video edited and everything. But that's what it first looked like to me, was an orbital sander. That the motor is in the right spot and has that 4 holes and whatever that material is on the bottom, unless that's where it bolts to, and that's metal. I don't know. Weird looking.
It had like 4 little holes in the bottom, so it might have bolted to something. I don't know.
Yeah,
but it's
strange looking.
Well, I mean, it probably had to bolt to something on the engine, but you don't know what you're going to find. I mean, it's just and then I got a signal maybe, I don't know, 9 or 10 inches away, and it was kind of scratchy, and it was reading high in one direction, and I dug an iron buckle. Mm-hmm. It had like a little piece missing out of the side of it, but this coil is it's more sensitive to small targets, but it's also doesn't seem to discriminate quite as well as the bigger coil.
Right. Well, that's typical.
But
yeah.
That's okay to me, because what I'm doing is I'm finding, with the low iron bias, I'm picking up bigger pieces of iron, and I'm hoping to find, I've been finding some really cool iron pieces too, every once in a while. And, I found that gun tool,
right.
That's pretty good. But, I just keep picking away at the yard and see what I can find. And, but the 6-inch coil, you can go right up against the fence and scrape along a chain link fence, and it still pick up stuff in the ground. You just can't go into all metal, because then the all metal will grab the fence.
Well, a lot of times too, Craig, they don't understand, not everybody, but I mean, there's a lot of people that don't understand, they're not getting depth with it. Well, if you do a depth test with a small coil on a freshly buried item, like you planted it, and you're not going to get great depth. But if you're going over something that's been sitting in the ground for 150 years, that has a halo around it, I've had 5.3 coil from White's. I dug a V nickel at 15 inches down in the ground with that thing. I mean, solid, repeatable signal. There was nothing else around it, nothing else in the hole. Kept on digging and saying, man, I don't know what the heck's going on here. There's no way this is, this got to be a big, like some kind of can that somebody buried, or something like a, soda can or a beer can, because that's how loud it was coming through. And I get down there, and here I pull this V nickel out. So they can't really. You can't really say that you're not going to get depth with some of these coils. You will. It's not going to be a consistent thing. It's a lot of factors that go in to depth on any coil. I mean, not to mention the soil moisture, the EMI that's around, whether you have a big iron target even within a foot of that spot. I've noticed this with several detectors, that you get close to iron, like you say I'm just going to say a hubcap laying in there. You get within a foot of that hubcap, it's already affecting the signal in your metal detector, because your metal detector just doesn't go down. It also goes out and around, from the edge of the target, and it can change your VDI numbers. That's why when I get this cast iron out of the way, and I go back over, the next day or the next week, I go back in that same area, and I'm finding a target right next to where I dug something big out of. Even though I scan the hole before I walk on, it's finally taking that long for that soil to settle, and any little iron particles or whatever the product, the item was, to dissipate, or not to have that noticeable halo around them. Then all of a sudden I'm digging something good 3 inches away from it. There's a lot of factors that go in. Nothing's going to be 100%. These detectors are getting better and better. I mean, if you look, even 10 years ago, Craig, I mean, there's been a couple of detectors, I like them, and they're big sellers, but man, I tell you what, they were noisy and chatty, and the VDI numbers jumped horrendously from like 0 to 50, and it wasn't
heavy.
And they were heavy. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of factors. You don't get spoiled. I mean, there's some good technology. This Equinox is I haven't even used one. I still want one, but I'm still not done with the Simplex. I really didn't think I was going to like this detector very much. I figured, well, it's going to be pretty much entry level. You're going to be able to find some maybe 7 or 8 inch dimes. That's pretty good for anybody getting started in the hobby kind of thing. I was getting my hopes up, but I was trying not to. But I think in doing that, it really, I just let the detector do what it does, and accept that for what it is, and then notice that I can make some adjustments. There's not a lot of adjustments to make on a Simplex. It's simple. That's the way, But the way they have it set up, most people, I think, could probably turn this machine right on, and other than making a sensitivity adjustment, and that's pretty easy. It's on the main screen, the up and down. It doesn't even have numbers. It just has bars. And, if you're getting if you have mineralized ground or moderate ground, and it's kind of chatty, all you'd have to do is like knock it down one line or 1 bar or 2 bars until it smooths out. The auto ground balance seems to work great. I haven't had any problems. My soil's pretty good down here in Florida, but I wouldn't have a problem. Now, is it going to work in Culpeper, Virginia? I would say because of the past, hell no. But you never know, Craig. These machines, you can adjust them now So you maybe it'll go with a lower sensitivity and be able to get into the mineralized. So I just don't know if it will. Like I think it was Brandon or Brian was asking me if I had it on the beach yet or had it. So no, I haven't. I want to get over to the beach. Just my world is so crazy right now. It's not even funny with all the stuff going on. For me to travel this 70 miles or whatever to go down to the Clearwater Beach, which is something I want to do with the machine. I just haven't done it yet. But as a relic hunting machine, as a backup machine for any you guys that maybe want to get one for your kids or to let them use, but you still want to steal it once in a while and use it yourself, hey, this is a good machine to get. A lot of people can't afford an $800 machine, Craig. I mean, if you can afford an $800 machine, buy the Equinox because it's definitely, better in a lot of ways, I think. I mean, I haven't used one, but I don't see nothing wrong with this one as far as, looks, weight, being waterproof, and me and Craig have no dog in the hunt. We don't have any association with selling these things or anything. We just can give you our honest opinion about them. We've used enough machines where,
I was looking on the Macro site last night, and I was trying to find out how heavy these machines are, and I noticed the cruiser and stuff was up close to 4 pounds or over 3 pounds.
This one weighs 2.9, 2.5 pounds, it's under 3 pounds, Craig. It's the same as essentially same as the Quest or the Equinox or. Yeah, I used it for, I don't know, every time I go out, I probably go out for 5 or 6 hours. My arm doesn't hurt me a bit. With the Bliss tool, I was starting to get, like my shoulder, my elbow. I'm getting older, so I got aches and pains. But with this machine, I haven't had any problems yet. So apparently it's at the proper angle. I know that Bill Marsh, he bought an Equinox, and he was having a lot of problems because of the ergonomics of the Equinox bothering his elbow, I think it was, and it didn't matter which hand he used, and it's just the way that maybe the angle was for him. It's not for everybody, but I mean, for him, it was really bothering him. He actually sold the machine and bought something else because it was just hurting his elbow so much. But I haven't had that issue with the Simplex, and you haven't had the problems with the Equinox, so.
Yeah, the funny thing with the Equinox is I have more problem with the 6-inch coil on my wrist because it's so light.
Oh, yeah, you were telling me about that.
That you tend to get the weight from the coil part.
Right.
I mean, not from the coil part, but from the... Yeah. But, with the 11-inch coil, the ground kind of supports the coil, but when it's so light, it's hard to, it doesn't really support the coil the same way.
It's adding weight to a different, in a different way. So ergonomically, it's not natural the way you're having to swing. You're having to put downward pressure, whether you know it or not, on that coil, and that's adding another factor in. If you don't use certain muscles, especially in your arms, your shoulders. I mean, if anybody ever had a shoulder injury, my God, it just aches for months and months, it seems like. And it doesn't take much, especially for an elbow and stuff. When I was using
tendonitis.
Yeah. Essentially,
it's worse than breaking a bone.
It is.
I've had it, all kinds of tennis injuries, with my shoulder, my elbow and stuff. And I sympathize with Bill because tennis elbow is one of the. I mean, it's almost debilitating when it gets really bad. I've had it so bad I couldn't pick up an empty coffee cup hardly.
Yeah, it's bad.
I actually went. I went to a doctor and the guy gave me a cortisone shot, and then he gave me this medication called Naprosyn, which turned out to be Aleve. And this is before Aleve was even on the market. It was an experimental drug, and it was called Naprosyn at the time. But I was taking it 3 or 4 times a day, heavy dose. And within, I think, about 3 or 4 days, all of a sudden I realized, I didn't have that sharp pain. It was like, I couldn't sleep at night. I'd roll over on my arm, and God, it'd kill me, waking me up.
Yeah.
So
I tried.
It's one of the worst injuries because every little movement.
Yeah.
you have how you have a sheath around the tendon, and when it gets injured, there's little hairs come out, and when the tendon goes up and down, all these little hairs just rake up and down inside there.
That nerve, yeah.
And so you get inflammation from it, and but it just it's a problem. I got rid of it through exercises by doing using small weights, and once I got my arm, where it wasn't hurting so much, I was do these wrist curls and stuff to get the elbow back into strength. And I actually started going up where I got up to where I was using 40 pounds. I could wrist curl like 20, 30 times.
Yeah.
So I have, my right elbow, it's like about a third bigger than my left elbow. Well, people that play tennis, usually have, atrophied looking left arms and huge right arms.
Right. Well, too, Craig, is, if you're swinging a new kind of detector, you go from an S shaft, which is kind of a solid shaft, but it's S shaft, you go into a shaft like on T shaft or whatever, where it has a handle on it. You're using totally different muscles to hold on to that detector, whether you realize it or not, and muscles that you may have not even used in swinging a metal detector or any activity you're doing, whether it's shoveling or, you go from a long-handled shovel to a stubby T handle. I mean, you're using muscles, back muscles, leg muscles. You're bent over more, or whatever. You're using different muscles. Yeah, you may pull a muscle. You may start having tendon. Until you get used to it. And it really, the best thing I can tell you is if you start having pain in it, switch arms and don't overdo it, because that's where I ran into a problem years ago with I had the White Spectre with it doesn't matter what detector really, but I bought a bigger coil. It weighed more. I was trying to go out there and swing it like a 10 or 11 inch coil, and here it is, a 15 by 18 coil. It's going to rip your shoulder up. It's going to rip your elbow up. It's just not, it's a lot, even though it's only a pound more or half a pound more, the motion that you're not used to, you're having to work it differently, so you're working different muscles. Take your time with some of this stuff. Don't injure, and it's hard.
Yeah,
The newbies will understand this, but like guys that have been hunting for a long time, we're stubborn. I mean, I'm gonna go out there and hunt the way I know how to hunt, and I end up hurting myself in the long run because of that, because of knowing what I know. Even though I wasn't smart enough to slow down, like I said, but newer people are gonna say, "Man, my arm's really tired. But you haven't swung a metal detector before. It's kind of easy to figure out what's going on when you're an experienced hunter. You think, I've been hunting for 20 years. Why am I having this problem? Type thing. So,
those coil-heavy machines tend to torque your arm. When you try to stop the machine and swing back the other way, so they tend to really put more pressure on your arms. And you got to watch it. You don't want to swing fast with a heavy coil. You want to go slow, and you almost have to develop a technique where you slow down right, before you get to go, ready to come back the other way.
Well, yeah. So we talked about, we've talked about this a couple of different times. When you big coil, as you're, instead of snatching back and forth, like stopping abruptly at one point and snatching it back the other way. Number one, it's not smooth. You want smooth. So, like Craig said, as you're coming to the right, instead of yanking it back, just give it a chance to stop. Sounds weird, but it works. And then come back the other way. Make sure when you're coming back to the left, as you're approaching the end of your swing, this, you just slow down just a little bit, let it just be flowing back and forth. It should be smooth. You should be, an inch above the ground or even rubbing the ground. You're trying to make sure the coil's level. There's an art form to swing in a detector properly to cover the most ground. I
noticed another thing. I've been watching, a lot of videos. I watch, digging videos almost every day on YouTube. That's, and I watch guys the way they swing, and I see a lot of guys that swing way over. They have like a 6-foot arc back and forth.
I used to be like
and they're
that.
and they're walking kind of fast. And so I'm looking at I'm looking at the coil in the ground while they're swinging, and I'm noticing sometimes they're missing 6 inches in between.
Yep.
You know,
or sometimes a foot.
Not to mention they're going too fast. I think,
right.
But the other thing is they, you know, I see so many guys out there and the coil's off the ground.
Yep.
It's like 3, 4, 5 inches sometimes, and they're just kind of swinging and they're oblivious. You know, they don't even know that they're wasting their time.
Yeah, it's not a race. Yeah, it's not a race.
So, you know, but I also see this race thing happening because, you know, they're out there hunting and their buddies are all popping copper coins and, you know, reals. And,
right.
you know, what happens is you want one, so you start swinging fast, trying to, oh, my God, you know, I got to find one. And, you know, you don't have the integrity of your swing anymore. You're just swinging wild, trying to, you know.
Trying to hope to get something, yeah.
Over the years, whenever I noticed this years ago, you know, and I started telling myself, if you do this, you go home.
Yeah,
that's not the way to hunt. You know, it's ridiculous. You know,
it's a waste of your time. Yeah,
and you know what'll happen is I've been over areas that guys do that where they, you know, you go to a construction site and guys start swinging real fast because it's this huge area, you know, and I do the same swing I'd always do. I'll go real slow, and everybody's way ahead of me, you know. And then I start coming into the middle of the field, and I start popping stuff left and right because they swung too fast and they missed it.
Yeah, and, that's why I always tell them I'll hunt a hunted out spot because I know, you know, it's the way you have, you know, whatever makes you have fun. If you're having fun swinging, like, great, you know, by all means, you know, hunt the way you want to. Just, you know, I think what we're getting at more than anything else is be efficient. If that's the kind of hunter you are, you got to slow down. You got to make sure the coil is, you know, almost scrubbing the ground as level as possible. As you're walking, you want to make sure you overlap. I try to overlap by a quarter of the coil anyways. You'd be surprised how many targets you miss if you don't overlap a little bit, even with a double D coil, especially in a high trash area. I mean, what you see me doing on that video, Craig, is a lot faster than I would normally hunt a spot. And I'm just trying to get my coil over noticeable, amplified targets. You know, I want to get those out of the way, regardless of whether they're good or bad. That just, you know, the way they sound off, if they're, you know, a zippy sound or whatever it is, like elongated. So I want to get those out of the way because I know there's stuff in there yet. You can hear it when I'm scanning the ground, these soft targets everywhere. But I could spend hours in a, you know, 10-foot area. Right.
Plus you're learning the machine, you know, and listen, you know, you want to, you know, just think when, you know, a couple of weeks you'll be pretty in tune to the sounds and everything.
But, Gavin says that's a good one, Craig. He says they need to tie their legs together so they can only step 8 inches at a time. It makes sense, Gavin. I mean, yeah, hobble. You know, we used to do that with horses and stuff. Hobble them a little bit, not hobble. Well, no, you tie. Just keep them from, you know. Well, the one time was kicking. You know, where you have a horse kicking a lot. We'd take a lead rope and, you know, nothing real heavy, but put it around their hoof, you know, their leg, and just run it loosely through their halter. And, you know, and that way you can keep a hold of it. So when they try to kick, their foot only goes back so far. They're like, whoa, what is that? Oh, I guess I can't kick. I'm not supposed to kick anymore, or whatever. They think they can't. Just like horses rearing up. We had horses that would head, you know, people ride too far in the saddle, lean too far forward. Don't think a horse can't throw his head back and headbutt you. It hurts, man. It'll bust your nose up. You know, I've seen people come out bloody like they got hit with a baseball bat in the face. Well, you know, the old trick I used to do, and I had, you know, I did it and didn't hurt the horse at all, but the horse thought. So I carry an egg, a regular old egg. He'd throw his head back. I'd break that egg right on his head. It's not hurting him, but it makes him think, ooh, what's that feel? Am I bleeding? Or am I, you know, what's going on? I shouldn't do that anymore. You know, the horses are like dealing with 5-year-old spoiled brats. You know, they have their little vices. We used to have, kind of getting off topic a little bit, but when, you know, we had the rodeo company and everything, you know, we had trail horses and this and that and the other thing. Every horse we got had some kind of a vice, and you had to figure it out. Metal detectors are the same way. They all have their quirks. Once you figure out their quirk, what it's going to do on certain items, what it's going to sound like. When you hear something very off of that, it's noticeable. It just stands out. The Bliss Tool did that. It just when it makes a certain sounds as a dig me signal or it's an amplification above everything else. You got to stop and dig those. I mean, that's the way you're going to get good things. You can't dig, treasure without digging trash. I'm keeping everything off this site, Craig. I want to show just what a site like this will, at least in this one pasture. I'm going to keep everything. I'll put it out there and I'll take photos of it or whatever and show people. I mean, you're going to dig this much trash on any given, site. I mean, you're going to dig trash. But look at all the good stuff I got, by digging these signals that you're not really sure about. And don't think that every time you hear that one signal that it's going to be the same thing. There's so many items that cross over. I mean, a lot of people get rid of like 30s and 40s. They always think it's going to be trash grade, but there's a lot of buttons and low conductors that come through there. If you're in a park, I get it, but there's sometimes you want to dig those. A lot of the lower VDI numbers have turned out to be really good things that are deep or mixed in with metal. You get two pieces of different kind of metal together in the same hole. I don't know what the VDI number is going to be. It may be high, it may be low. But if you took one of those pieces out of there, then all of a sudden you're getting an actual reading. So mixed signals, I mean, you gotta dig some of these. I mean, if anything else, just to get it out of the way. I always like to tell them to dig 10 targets that you're kind of questionable about every time you go out. Iffy targets or edge of detection targets to see what the heck they are. You're not going to have an idea of your site. And I think this is what happens. People say, well, it's hunted out. I'm not getting any more good signals. Well, if you're not getting any more good signals, start digging some bad signals. See what it is. See if you're digging out that one piece, whether there's something else good down there in the hole with it. Craig does it all the time at his house. He'll get these little tweaks, little beeps, little zippy sounds or whatever. He digs them. And yeah, he pulls out a nail. Oh, there is a good item. That's what it was going off on because there's no more signal for it to, to dig. I mean, it's kind of common sense. I guess it's being a relic hunter versus a coin hunter. Nothing wrong with being a coin hunter. Some people really enjoy it. I got a lot of friends that do. I don't mind it, but in my heart, I'm a relic hunter. I want to find anything that has any kind of history to it that I can date a site with, or just kind of cool stuff. I love, I've had bucket list items on this site that I didn't know were bucket list items, Craig, because I never thought about digging them. I mean, a fishing reel. I mean, give me a break. I never thought about digging a fishing reel. Well, not an old one.
That's what's so cool about relic hunting,
Yeah.
There's, some people don't like relic hunting. They want to find coins.
Yep.
They want to find
silver
and stuff, and that's fine. And I was kind of like that when I first started, but then once I found the Seat at Liberty coin, I decided I don't want those stupid Mercury dimes and Roosevelt dimes, and I want old coins. I want, things that make you, get a rush when you see it, I mean,
I get excited on this site, Craig. I was like, God, what is it? Oh my God, it's a button. I'm excited, because it's, that's what the thrill we're after.
Relic hunting, it wasn't so much the coins always. It was,
right.
I got into the buttons, the
tokens,
the really unique. I find it a challenge to try to find stuff that other people don't find.
Right.
It's kind of like a goal to kind of make you, I don't care if I have to dig 100
bad items, yeah,
shotgun shells or pull tabs or whatever on a site. It's I remember going through these walkways on some of these sites that dated from like the 30s and 40s, and and like housing projects and stuff. There was natural walkways where all the stuff was dropped.
Right.
And guess what? There was so many pull tabs and tinfoil and bottle caps at the ground, but there was tons of coins. I remember cleaning out a spot where I dug 600 coins at a site that was the size of my living room, and I mean, it was trashy as heck, you know.
Yep.
And I didn't get a lot of silver out of it, but I must have dug, I don't know, 300 wheat pennies. I got a fair amount of buffalo and silver nickels, but most of the silver coins are the nickels, you know. But
Right.
I got some little silver rings and stuff, but it was an area where it's like sloped down to a basketball court, so it was a perfect spot to sit on the edge of the hill and watch the game, you know, with people
Yep.
playing, you know. And so that whole area, you know, it was, you know,
Loaded.
people were like, God, you've been here like 5 days in a row. And I said, man, I started out, I put the discriminator on the Toltec at 9
Wow.
and just dug every signal.
Right.
And then when the signals disappeared, I moved the discriminator down to about 7.
Right.
Started hunting again. You know, eventually I got down to the nickel range, you know, where I was, you know, but, you know, I just kind of every day I would just, you know, go over that spot and just keep digging and digging and digging. And it was funny how a site like that, you could dig, you know, like a pull tab and go back over the hole and dig, you know, a couple wheat pennies and a nickel, you know.
Right.
And it was just such a busy area. But, you know, I mean, 600 coins in like 3 or 4 days, that's a pretty good, you know,
You're
haul.
tired,
I mean,
brother. Yeah. I'm digging over 100 holes probably every time I go out to that site. And, you know, I could probably dig more, Craig. You got to be selective after a while. You got to layer off the site or it'll drive you crazy. I could make it look like a bomb went off, you know, every 10 feet. Because even the holes I dig now are so, you know, you don't want to scratch an item. And you got all these mixed signals. You get too close, you'll hit them. Then you're dealing with rocks and everything else. You know, there's kind of an art form to digging a target. And I'm kind of doing, you know, people, I've kind of mentioned it in this video too, that, you know, you see me bounce on the shovel. Instead of just slamming the shovel right in the ground, I bump, 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 bump right down until I get a full shovel length into the ground. And then I pop a plug. And what I'm doing is I'm feeling with my foot and hearing, okay, that's a rock. I bumped a rock. Oh, that's a piece of metal. That's a piece of glass. You can actually, once you do this enough, you know exactly what you're hitting. You'll feel the slickness of glass. You know, you'll feel the shovel slip the tip of it. It's kind of hard to describe until you do it, but you can work your way down into a hole. And
you might even hear it.
Yeah,
you know?
You could hear it too. And it's something you get with practice and after digging a lot of holes. And I know right now I think I showed it in this next video or the last one, I'll pinpoint and you'll see me scan over it again. And I'll pinpoint it from the other direction. I want to make sure that is exactly the target that I'm trying to ID that's in the ground, not the iron that's around it. And then I want to know right where to dig. So I do it once or twice. I'll bring the shovel up to the edge of the coil. When I've pinpointed, I leave the coil on the ground right where it would pinpoint it at. I bring my shovel up and put it right next to where the edge of the coil is. Then I move the detector out of the way. Then I dig the hole. That way I know I'm at least 6 inches away from where it pinpointed at, so that when I drive the shovel into the ground, I could pop that first plug out. Usually it's still in the hole because this site's deeper. Instead of putting the shovel into the center of the hole and driving the shovel down, I'm actually moving the point of the shovel into the closest edge, into that edge as I can, and that's in front of me, and digging like at an angle towards myself a little bit, and then scoop up out of. You know, it's not an easy thing to do, and you know if you haven't done it, if you're new to the hobby, you should probably hand trial everything when you first start out. Don't grab an aggressive shovel. I've seen too many guys do it, man. Just rip right through. Well, your neighbor did it, Craig. He cut right through a breastplate, and he'd been hunting for a little while. But you know, you can. I always widen 2 or 3 inches out wider when I take another scoop out because of that reason. And you don't know when you're pinpointing a target in the ground, and it's mixed in with iron and stuff. Your good target might be right up against that wall of the hole that you're digging, in the side wall. It's because of the way the detector's picking up whatever it is, and you're digging iron out of there and everything else. It's like using a scalpel, but mine just happens to be a number 2 shovel with a heck of a point on it. I mean, it's a little bit different than a regular garden shovel, but I mean, that's what I'm used to using in these fields and just popping. It cuts through the sod so much faster. We have It's not, like a northern grass, Yankee grass, whatever. It's this rooted St. Augustine, and it's wild. It's not like the stuff you see in the, well, it is the same stuff essentially you see in the housing additions creek. It's really thick, matty sod. It's not like your typical blades of grass. This thing is a rooter. It actually has runners that go out and it fills in. It's like carpeting for your grass or for your yard. You'll squish down into this stuff about 2 or 3 inches. It seems like sometimes. But to cut through that, I mean, you've heard it on my videos, Craig. It's like, good God, what is he cutting through? I have to get through 2 inches of sod before I even hit sand, and the sand I have there is packed. So I only could drive that shovel in about 7 or 8 inches tops. Pop a plug, and then I go in through, and it's a little bit easier the second time because the surface area has been broken a little bit. But targets hide in there. It's just it's a little bit of patience. And if you go out there and start swinging wild and stuff, it's like Craig said, just put the detector down and take a break, then come back to it. Some people get aggravated. I did. I mean, I spent 3 months of digging nothing but shotgun shells and modern bullets. I mean, no matter how I hunted, I was like, oh my God, I was ready just to chuck the metal detector. But I knew it wasn't the metal detector. It was the site I'm on. It just, I didn't find where the activity happened. But it just took me 3 months to figure it out. And Craig finally told me, hey, idiot, go to a new spot. And that's what I needed to do. I needed to get away from that spot. I was obsessed. I'm still obsessed with it. It still kills me not to go there, but I know, hey, I need to take a break from it because I'm not enjoying it. It's aggravating to me because I know I'm doing everything right. I'm still not finding anything. But if you don't get your coil over it, you're not going to find anything. So you got to slow down. You got to take a break. I can remember sweating my butt off in the middle of June and July to the point of heat exhaustion out there hunting for 7 or 8 hours in that heat, trying to find something and being, you let your mind overtake you a little bit. You don't realize it. You're hunting, you look down and you've hunted for 3 hours. You haven't even taken a break and you're just so obsessed with trying to find something and, doing everything to do. And if you don't get methodical about it, if you start swinging wild and stuff, take a break. It just, it's not worth getting frustrated over, or go to a different site, go to a totally different one.
You got to develop some patience, and I remember when I, first started hunting, and I'd be hunting with, 4 or 5 guys on this housing site, and somebody'd find silver, and then everybody would be swinging like crazy, because it put pressure on you,
Yeah.
And you want to find that coin, and it took me a while to realize I got to just, I got to maintain my swing and swing slowly, and listen, it doesn't do any good, to swing fast. I mean, but I can see how people do. It takes it takes some patience, and especially when you're younger, you don't have much patience. It's like,
well, you also got the gold bug. You're treasure hunting. You're everything you find is a little treasure under your feet. The way I look at it, you don't know what it's going to be. It might be a gold coin. It might be a pull tab. You never know. But it's like we got Brian Seward on here. He said he's new to the hobby, and everything's is cool right now. I mean, you don't have to pick out a style. You can keep different styles. You might want to be a coin hunter and a relic hunter and a treasure hunter and a whatever. A lot of this stuff leads into stuff. I've had it happen even on this hunt where I'm metal detecting and then it turns into be a bottle hunt because I start finding bottles and I start digging up the ground. It's like Loy says, you gotta Loy's on here this morning from Relax Radio, and he's saying the most important thing is to enjoy yourself. That is why you're out there. For me, it is total. I don't have to think about anything else other than that beep. And my world is totally screwed up most of the time with all this, stress and everything else. But I go out there and I make a video and I'm having fun. I don't have to worry about anything else but that beep of that metal detector and watching VDIs and digging up treasure. What could be funner? And it depends on the style. You might want to only do beach hunting. You might only want to do coin hunting. You might only want to do residential yards. You might only want to do fields. I mean, or woods. I mean, even the tools you use to dig with. I mean, Craig uses an entrenchment tool most of the time because he usually does woods and stuff like that. sometimes he wants to use a regular shovel, doing that. I'm the same way. We switch up. But I figure if you become good with everything or proficient, it's going to make you a better hunter. And, the biggest thing is to have fun. Some people take it to a level and that's all they want to go. I had one guy that, you remember Craig, he lived up in Michigan. He bought a V6 Bliss tool and he only hunted on Toggle 1, which is cherry picking. I mean, it knocks out aluminum cans. The only thing you're going to dig is silver and clad. And he was totally happy to go to a park and dig 5 or 6 targets. But they were always silver coins or coin items or silver. He didn't care about finding gold
or high conductors.
Yeah, high conductors. And I tried to tell him, I said, well, you can't. And he did it. He came down here to Florida, and he was doing it on the beach. I said, dude, you don't understand how much stuff you're missing. And Mike Miller was with me, and we had a big group of us. We just kind of go out once in a while. A lot of veterans of the hobby, and we just hang out and we hunt and we have fun. We go grab lunch or whatever. But he came out. This guy came out, and I'm like, man, you're hunting Toggle 1 on a beach. He goes, I just want to dig coins. And I had to stop myself because I'm like, God, you don't know what you're missing on gold and everything else. It didn't matter to him. He was having fun with coins, so let him have fun. A lot of times too, I'll try to mention, if I see somebody and we're kind of talking and, Craig, they're doing something that's kind of costing them fines, I try, it's a real hard subject to broach sometimes too, because, you start telling somebody that, hey, you need to swing like this, or you need to, it's hard to bring up that kind of conversation and not, I don't know, hurt somebody's feelings either.
Yeah,
I've seen him do it on the beach, and I've told him. Me and Mike Miller are pretty good about that when we hunted together. One guy would come over and talk. What do you find? And I'm finding this and that. And I said, man, I noticed when you're swinging over to the left, man, your coil's coming up quite a bit. You're probably missing stuff over to the left a little bit. I said, I used to do that too. And a lot of times you kind of work yourself, and pay attention to what you're doing, and you kind of change things, the way you hunt, the way you swing and everything. So, bringing it up that way, a lot of times they're responsive, but just don't walk up to somebody, hey, you don't know what the hell you're doing. You're swinging all over the place. That's the wrong way to kind of bring up the topic, because people get touchy. But if I see somebody...
I've had people ask me, they've been out, they're frustrated.
Yeah.
I can tell they're, fairly new to the hobby. And, yeah, a lot of people, first thing I say is you're swinging a little bit too fast. You got to have more, coil integrity.
Right.
And, don't tell me how to swing, I go, okay, fine. I'll walk right behind you.
Yeah, just keep in mind, if somebody critiques you a little bit, don't take it as a insult. Take what they say. I used to look for criticism. I wanted to definitely.
Be better. I would always ask people. I would always bug people that I met. Hey, I'm new to the hobby. Can you give me some pointers? I would actually ask people that. I used to call my friend Mike all the time, and a lot of times I would, when I first started, I'd dig stuff and I didn't know what it was. It's like, it's like that was when it kind of exciting in a way, because when I first started, I knew Mercury dimes and I knew Walking Liberty half dollars because I'd seen them when I had a paper route. People they were still in circulation,
right?
And I remember. I love those Walking Liberty half dollars, but I couldn't keep them because I had to pay the bill each month.
Yeah.
And I didn't make that much, but
right.
When I first started, I wanted those silver coins. I was so thrilled when I found my first Mercury dime. I found this really worn 1920 Mercury dime, and I'd been out like 3 or 4 times, and I'd found some wheat pennies, and I hadn't found the silver. And I found that silver coin. I was like, I want more silver. I went on that's all I wanted. I didn't care about nickels or anything else. And, eventually I started going, man, I remember digging I got a silver dime in a hole and I saw a buffalo nickel in the hole with it. And I went, oh my God, there's a buffalo nickel, and,
yeah.
And so when I got a meter machine, I was using a Royal Sabre. It didn't have a meter. And when I got the meter machine, I started digging the nickel signals, and I was digging like war nickels and buffaloes, and it took me a while to get a V nickel because they're, I've done tons of buffalo nickels, but not very many V nickels, and I've only gotten like I think 4 shield nickels over the years. But one coin I'd like to dig, and I've seen a couple of guys on the Hoover Boys dig them, is the 3-cent nickel.
Yeah, I've never gotten one either. Well, there's a lot of coins I haven't gotten, but I mean, those have kind of interested me too. It has 3 lines on it or whatever. It's like a Roman numeral 3.
Yeah, I only think they made them for a couple years, maybe 2 or 3 years. But yeah, it's kind of an unusual coin. If you dig it, it would definitely be a bucket list for most people because I don't see very many of them dug.
I just want to dig a $50 or a silver dollar. I've been hunting for almost 20 years and never found a silver dollar, never found a $50. It's crazy. I mean, you think I would get my coil over one of those events? I mean, you've done it right next to me, so I mean, I could have very well gotten the one you got, but it just, I didn't get my coil over it. Hell, there was a 1941 dug on that property too, that same day.
Yep.
Can't remember the guy's name. So, but anyway, Craig, I look. We're 10 after.
His name was Ron. Oh, well, yeah, well, we had to make up for the other day.
Yeah, I mean, it's 10 after 8. I'm sorry, guys. I got guys over here from Australia and stuff listening, and they're saying it's midnight. I looked down here and said, I'm like, midnight? Wait a minute, what time is it? Well, I got a clock right in front of me on the computer screen. We kind of get talking. We forget all about time and stuff, but we do, do these shows at, 7 o'clock in the morning on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. It's just Coffee with Derek and Craig, but we still do our Saturday night show on at 8 o'clock, every weekend. So tomorrow night we'll be doing a show at 8 o'clock Eastern time. So be sure to tune in and everything. Like and follow the show, guys. And, I'm trying to get ours set up to where you can, maybe one of y'all can tell me, maybe Craig, you can't. After you listen to the show, it should roll on to the next show. And, I leave it on when I'm in, like if I'm listening to Relics Radio or something like that in my office. I just, I put the thing on, they're on Spotify and iHeartRadio, same as us and everything. Matter of fact, we made Pandora also, Craig. I haven't really checked up on that yet. I don't know how that happened, but we had to fill out all this little paper or this little thing online and got over there. But anyways, you can listen to the show and it rolls on to the next one. So I just leave it on in my office. That way I catch up with, what Loy's saying, or if I'm listening to, Josh on, the Beyond Sight and Sound. These are other metal technique shows on Spreaker format. You guys check them out and share it around too, because a lot of you guys may be new to the hobby and stuff. Some of the veteran hunters can kind of turn you on to these different shows because it's about metal detecting, but we all do different formats. We talk about different things. It's not always the same stuff all the time. It's their opinions and how they do stuff, or maybe they have guests on. They're talking about metal detecting. Maybe it's some people you watch on YouTube or Facebook, or maybe even on TV. We've had Howard Hewitt on here before. Maybe need to do that again, Craig. Get him on there, see what he's been up to, and just trying to get people that are in the hobby to give out more information on the way they hunt, because it's going to make us all better hunters, and that's have more fun. So
I don't know if everybody knows or not, but we're going to be on Relics Radio on the 26th of December.
That's right. Weeks. Yeah, we're going to be.
That ought to be really fun.
Yeah, it's going to be a Thursday night.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Thursday night, 26. I almost forgot about that. But, yeah, it's a lot of fun. We I don't know, I've talked to Loy and Mark Hoover and, Josh Kimmel. And, we kind of talk amongst ourselves every so often. And it's kind of fun because we get, Craig, it's almost like it's like a radio show in itself, and we're on the telephone, though.
Yeah.
But,
it's a lot of fun. I think it's, there's no drama like it was like on YouTube and stuff. It's like YouTube's going crazy again on this child. Whether you're child friendly or not, I don't think you want to be, because you lose all.
Well, I didn't even know how to. I just put child friendly on mine because I try never to cuss, and it's metal detecting. I mean, I just put child friendly on it. I didn't know what else to do. They're annoying me with all this stuff. I mean,
they're now asking for guidance, on this, on this thing. They made you, check to see, I put on there, I clicked, this isn't really material for children.
Right.
But people are worried, on, are they going to get some kind of, somebody knocking, YouTube knocking their channel down or whatever.
Right.
And, people are like hiring lawyers to try to figure this out.
Oh,
this
my
is
God.
ridiculous.
That's crazy. Don't worry about it, people. They're going to tell you they're going to tell you one way or another, but if you have something questionable on your video,
they need a new CEO is what they need. This woman is terrible. I mean, I see, creators that have, 5 million, 10 million subscribers, and they've had her on the show, and the guy right under her, and it is the biggest bunch of bull I've ever seen. They will not tell you what is really going on.
It's all about the money, brother.
Yeah, but it's like they make up stuff.
Yeah.
As they go along, and then it hurts the creators, and they don't seem to care. And
by doing the thing about by saying they need guidance, they're covering their butts. Because if something does happen, they say, well, we tried to get help on, whatever, but nobody was helping us. Well, it's common sense. If it's a little bit questionable, it's not child friendly. I mean, I have kids and everything. I know that when they were growing up, as a parent, you watch what, there's freaks out there. We all know that. I mean, so obviously, if you're putting up a video and you're cussing all the time, it's probably not good for an 8-year-old boy or girl to be listening to. So you mark it adult rated or whatever you got to do. Use common sense. But I mean, these getting lawyers and stuff, these people, they're making rules and then they say they need guidance. Well, no, you own a company, you know what your criteria is, it's child safe, so just make it like that. It's not a big issue. And
some of the biggest creators have, reached out to him, said, come on my channel and explain this stuff.
Yeah, explain why I'm this,
it's like this guy, Casey Neistat, who's got over 10 million subscribers, and, he's been on YouTube. He's like one of the people that they promote because he's such a great guy, and he's such, such a positive guy, and he's done so much to help people over the years, and he's got this great channel. But he gets these people in there, and then after the video, he's so mad, he goes, God, I didn't say it, and you watch the comments, and people get so frustrated. They go, why aren't these people telling us the truth? It's like it's trying to, squeeze the truth out of these people, and they just, I don't know. YouTube is such a big platform. It's like it can't go away. I mean, everybody uses it.
It's a necessity. I hate using it, but I got to. But,
well, I watch YouTube all day long, but I don't watch regular TV. I don't care about regular TV anymore.
I'll just let these guys go. I'm going to let these guys know. I think it was Gavin. He wanted to know if the Relics Radio is the same time zone. No, it isn't. He's actually on Central Time, so he's an hour behind us, Gavin. So if we're on, 8 p.m. or whatever, they'd be 7 p.m. their time. Obviously, it's we do this daylight savings time zone thing and everything else too. Well, everybody does, anyways, for the time zone. But we're not on Thursday nights anymore. We're only on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday mornings, and we're on Saturday night at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So yeah, we're not going to be walking at each other. We got on the same day somehow originally. I think it's all metal mode is before them.
Well, we had Thursday and Saturday, and
when they got started.
It's like there's a show on every day, the week just about. So it doesn't leave much room.
Well, I like making the move, Craig, because now I get to listen to Relics Radio. I mean, it's I enjoy listening to the other shows. It's just my world's, like I said, been nutty lately. As far as all this other stuff going on. But yeah, I mean, I like Josh's show. I'll tune into that. Sometimes I miss the show, but I always download it or listen to it on a replay. And you could do that on Spreaker.com. Any of the shows I think have archives. You guys can go clear back. I mean, some of us. I mean, Josh has been doing this for a lot of years. I think we're at 4 years, 3 or 4 years, anyways, that I can remember that we've been doing the show either here or on another format. So there's a lot of topics that, Craig and I probably need to go back through and listen to those old shows. At least, some of the topics have changed, or the answers or what we found has changed over the years. Even over the last 4 years, because technology is changing so fast. But, we're already 20 after 8, Craig. We need to shut this thing down. We're getting to be like a Saturday night.
Yeah.
All right. But anyway, guys, have a good day, guys. Safe holidays to y'all. Be safe in your travels. And, of course, try to listen to the shows and like and follow them. And, just try to have fun out there. I mean, that's what it's all about. Metal detecting is a great, fun hobby if you're just getting into it. Give it a chance and kind of learn as you go. That's all what we all did. So we'll talk to you tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern time here on Spreaker.com. That sounds like an advertisement, Craig. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. Anyways, catch you all later. Be safe.